All right, well, let's make a start on things now that we've got everyone here. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our events management webinar today. Let's jump into things. So first off, just before we jump into the details of the webinar, I'll just spend a little bit of time talking about the software that we're using today. So we're using GoToWebinar, just for everyone that's joined. Just one thing that I want to mention, if you do have to sign out of the webinar today a little bit early for other reasons, that's fine. We are making a recording of this webinar and we'll send it to everyone that joined today and also that registered. So if you had team members in the school that weren't able to make it to the webinar today, just let them know that you'll get a copy of the recording down the track. And then lastly, if you do have any questions, please write them down and keep them. We will be answering the questions towards the end of the session today as well. Okay, so let's jump through. I'll just introduce the hosts really quickly. So first off, I'll start with Grace. Grace, why don't you jump in and say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Grace. Now, probably just wanted to ask a little bit, it's always good to get a bit of background. So you've been with the Compass team for 2 years now. Do you want to just speak a little bit to your roles while you've been here with the Compass team as well and how you've worked with schools in the past?
Yeah, totally. So as you said, I've been at Compass since the beginning of 2019, so over 2 years now, and my time at the company has been amazing. I've done 3 different roles, and first of which I started off as a member of the support team. So probably a lot of you have spoken to me in the past and have met and worked with me to help answer your questions regarding modules with live chat, phone, and email. Shortly after that, I transitioned into the Compass Ticks team, which is, in case anyone isn't aware what Compass Ticks is, it's a event ticketing platform powered by Compass that runs ticketed events for the external school community. So things such as musicals, fundraisers, and school tours. I worked with well over 100 schools to help set this up and get their events up and running. Until halfway through last year, I'm transitioned to my current position now as Junior Account Manager, which in my current role, I help out existing Compass schools look into the modules that they currently have in their subscription and help improve their current processes and see how current Compass can really streamline what they're doing and what they can add on to help figure out the best way for their school. So that's my history at Compass.
It's really good. Excellent, excellent. And am I right, during your time when you were in the support team, you were a part of the team that was supporting schools that were using events management, correct? So you're probably familiar with quite a few queries that came through and what the common questions were.
Yeah, absolutely. I jumped around a couple of different teams, but I did definitely do events and all things timetabling and all different types of areas. So well versed in the Compass everything.
Excellent, excellent, very good. And I'll move across now to Christine. So Christine, you're the newest team member here in our Compass team. Why don't you speak a little bit about, I suppose, your experience and also, your passion to join the Compass team as well.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, everyone. I am a Compass parent and a lover of the program. My secondary student, my daughter, is at a Compass school and my son is not at a Compass school, and my mission is to get them to come across because it's so much easier to work with them. So I'm a teacher by training. I've been within the education sphere in different settings, both in the classroom as a specialist science teacher, but I've also worked at a science centre in WA, so at SciTex, and had a wonderful time there being on the other end of events, so delivering amazing programs within that setting. So I have used paper forms and files and approval processes where you have a million different things going in a million different directions. So I'm very excited about this part of the Compass system and all of the amazing oversight you have over an event. So I think one of the hardest things that I ever did was when I was a specialist science teacher, we took the whole school to the science centre, 350 kids, many volunteers, many parents. It was hectic. So I think this part of the system is amazing.
That's good. Excellent, excellent. All right, well, let's jump into things. So first off, I'm just going to quickly run through the agenda of what we're covering off today. We're really going to be looking at 3 key areas. We're going to be looking at the events module, hopefully providing some tips and tricks to those that are potentially using the software at this current moment. We're then also going to look at events, payments and plans. So this is probably something that some of you may not be familiar with. You do have the option to tag on payment plans into events to help with paying for, say, camps over a period of time. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at events management for parents. So you're all familiar with what the experience that a parent sees in the application. And then last off, we're going to be finishing with the Q&A. Just to give everyone a bit of an overview, we're aiming for roughly a 30-minute webinar today. So again, if you do have to drop out, don't feel bad. We will send you a copy of the recording after we finish. Now, before we jump into things, I thought I'd just spend a little bit of time talking about this process map, which we included in some of the email communication that we sent through. So this was a really quick overview that we put together of kind of the process that we've seen schools conduct events without Compass and what it kind of looks like. And we kind of mapped out some of the pain points. So we look at the events information form. So creating that form generally takes a considerable amount of time. It's usually done outside of school hours in the teacher's personal time. Then going through that events chain, so getting the approval from the principal or the business manager to then obviously publish that event. Third, creating the registry and managing the registry of who's going to be going to the event. Fourth is then distributing the forms, obviously printing out the forms, getting the children to then take that home to parents, fraught with error, a lot of printing costs, a lot of time associated with that as well. Fifth is then probably the most important, the payment process. So coordinating with your admin staff or your business management staff to coordinate all the payments within the event and then keeping that registry up to date. Six is then, again, that events registry and keeping that up to date. And then 7 is obviously going through and hosting the event. And obviously the big pain points that you see there is reprinting of forms for children that may have lost it on the way home somehow, and then also coordinating with parents with outstanding payments. So what we're seeing there is generally a time-consuming task. It's quite a complicated process fraught with errors. And then last up, it's generally a poor experience for staff members and parents alike. If we look at it from a Compass perspective, we've ideally like to streamline this process to the best of our ability. We've broken it down into kind of 4 key steps here where we look at using the template functionality of events to make it easy to create a new event and obviously push it through that approval chain within the school. Second is then the bulk notifications, so sending out the notifications to parents directly through the application or through email communication within Compass. Third, if you've got the payments functionality, the ability to make the payment for the event directly through there. And then fourth is obviously hosting the event and how Compass events will benefit the school, obviously all the risk mitigation through the forms and whatnot that are accessible within the software as well. So what we generally see with Compass is simple, it's quite easy to use, it's convenient obviously for staff members and for parents. And then last off, it provides a level of peace of mind, especially for the stakeholders within the school, say principals that are obviously liable for that event as well, that they can see everything's kept in one central location as well. All right, so what we'll do now is let's jump into things. So Grace, I'm going to get you to take control and share your screen now, if you can, please. It's just the little screen icon underneath your mic.
Okay.
Did you want me to?
Now?
Yes, we can. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. So today I'm going to really focus in on how collecting payments through Compass events really speeds up school processes. So we're really going to go through all the amazing time-saving benefits and having one centralized system handle all of your consent and payment. And the first thing I'm going to take you through is the administration side of everything. So setting up the templates for events, risks and questions. Then I'll show you how to create an event with online processing enabled, and finally show you how quick and easy it is for parents to pay online. So to get
before we
started,
jump into that, Grace, do you want to just speak really quickly to the screen that you're currently presenting? This is probably going to look a little bit different for a lot of the attendees that have joined us today as well. So what you're looking at here is a little bit of a sneak peek of some redesigns that we've been working on here at Compass. So you can expect kind of over the coming weeks to month that you all have access to this new refresh. So it's a change to the login screen, a change to obviously the platform when you log in as well. So I hope you're all excited. It's a bit of a sneak peek. I wasn't aware that we were going to share this today, but that's hopefully you will enjoy that.
Yeah, secrets, don't tell anyone. Okay, perfect. So to access the events area, I'm just going to go to the organization menu and then events, and this will take us to the events dashboard. So I'm sure a lot of you have already created an event before. So I'm going to jump straight into the administration tab, and we'll talk a little bit about the event templates. So firstly, we have just the average event template. So if I click create new template, all events are created using a template and are a great way of populating certain fields to make creating events less time consuming for staff. So this also puts in place a consistent structure in regard to notifying the applicable staff with the notification chain. And you're able to create as many templates as you like. You can see that we have about 10 in the background here, which really help creating events much quicker for all staff in a consistent way. So that is something that you're probably already used to, but risk templates and question bank is something that you only gain access if you do have online processing for merchant facility and like paying for events online enabled. So this might be an area of Compass that you haven't seen before. It's a really great area for schools using the risk management feature within the Compass Events module. So you can have a bank of risks that you can see here, set up for staff to access to minimize the need for them to repeatedly add in risk per event. So I can see that here we have heaps of different risks put in, some for abseiling, some for bus travel. And if I extend it out, we can see the severity, likelihood, and rating of each of them. And they can each be set up to, if you have a school camp that you have every year for the Year 4 students, that they all go abseiling, you can quickly and easily pop it into the event that you're creating. So it minimizes any double ups and time consuming things like that. Question bank works exactly the same. So this is where you're able to set up a question bank for your staff to have access to, and it's set up on a template level so that it can already be added into any event that uses the template that you have. So adding a question is super easy. You just click add question, and you can type in your question, a description, and choose a target. So your target can either be an attendee, meaning the students or the parents of the student if you're a primary school, as well as volunteers. So if you're asking any parents to help out on the day, you can ask them a question like, do you have your Working with Children's check or something like that? And perfect. So a bit later in the webinar, I'm going to be showing you how we import these banks of risks and questions into the events. But for now, I'm going to jump back to the dashboard, and to create a new event, you just click create new event and choose the template that you would like to be using. I have already set up an event for today's webinar. So if I go down to Melbourne Zoo excursion for Year 5s, I can show you what I have been working on. So for this event, if you click edit, you can see what it looks like when you're setting up from the template. So a lot of this information was pre-filled. And as soon as you click save, it does populate it into the event area, so you can see it for any staff member who wants to access and view that event. The point I'm going to make here is in the bottom left corner, we have the consent and payment details. So this area might be a little bit different if you've just created a normal event and now you're creating an event that takes payment online. There's a little setting here called online processing, which when you tick that one, it allows the parents to provide consent and payment online. So we just need to tick that one to make sure. And we also have the default cost per attendee. For today, the Melbourne Zoo excursion for Year 5s is just $20 for the students. And we click save and close, and we're back to the event dashboard. I'll just like to point out that we have our notification chain in the bottom here. That is also tied to the event template. So if you use an event template with a certain number of staff that you would like to be notified or give approval, that's already tied in there. So this event has been already approved, and I'm going to jump into the second tab, Attendees. So as you create your event, as I'm sure most of you are aware, you just work through the tabs from dashboard all the way to questions and just add in what is relevant to you. In the Attendees tab, we can add in our attendees just by this filtering option. So for today, I just did students by group, and I selected the year level year 5, which is 25 users, and clicked add. Once they were all populated in here, they all automatically had the status of awaiting consent and payment, and they were all yellow on the right hand side here. As the event was published and more parents came in to pay for this event, they did automatically transition from the yellow color to green to say attending. So this is a really big time saver for those currently just processing manual payments. Obviously, if they do pay for the event through Compass, it is automatically updated, and you can go in at any time and have a really quick look at how many parents have paid and how many have not. So this, obviously, if you are collecting payments for an event through Compass, you can still collect manual payments as you transition your parents. So if you had a parent that did come into the office and paid with a paper form and with cash, you can update the selected attendees to be marked as paid and consent received, and then just click yes, and that will update them to be green as well. So you can, in your transition period, do a little bit of both while you work into just taking online payments at your school. A second action that you can complete in the Attendees tab is emailing all your attendees. So as this event has been opened, say it's a week out from the event and I want to shoot through a reminder to my school, I can email attendees and go attendees and parents by status. And then I can choose that all of the parents of attendees from a primary household that are still on waiting payment and consent, and I can shoot them through an email reminder saying, hey, you still need to pay for this event, and it automatically has the email associated to that template, so it's nice, quick and easy and consistent for your entire school. If I cancel out of that, I'm just going to skip along through the staffing tab. So this is just where you add your staff so they can, if they were attending on the day, they can have access to the event overview booklet and the handbook, and obviously mark the roll and things like that. As well as the volunteers tab, which is where you can invite parents to help out with the excursion. So if I needed help from a parent, I could invite individual parents, select them and click add, and they will get an invitation and they'll tell me whether they can come and help out or whether they're busy and like so. Costs incurred is where you can just add in any costs associated with the event, just as a record keeping sort of thing. So if you're publishing your event to your business manager or your general event organizer, you can say that the bus will cost X amount of money, and then they can approve or deny the event from there. But the main area that I really want to show you is the payment plans tab. So this is a tab that you may not be currently seeing in events, and it only appears if you have events online consent enabled for your portal, and if you have the payment plans module as well in your portal. So with payment plans, it's super great for camps and things like a more expensive camp. It might be a couple $100 for the parents to pay. If they can't pay that in bulk or upfront, you can give them the option to pay smaller sums over time with the installments feature. So it's super easy to use. All you have to do is click this little checkbox here that says allow parents to pay for this event via payment plan, as well as add in your installment dates. So I already came in and added in a couple of installment dates, but I can add in one just to show you. So I'll just delete that one there. So to do so, you just click add installment date and you click the calendar here to select the date. You move through the calendar, pick, I'm going to say the 15th of March is when the second sum of money will come out, and then I can choose a percentage. So this percentage, if you have 4 installment dates, they have to equal a percent that adds up to 100%. For this particular example, I just have 2, so each of them will just be 50%. It's great for flexibility if you have like a deposit, so you want the first payment to only be 5% for a big camp or something like that, and then the rest of them be bigger sums of money as well. Moving on through, we have the resources tab. This is just where you can add in any content that you would like different members to have access to. So you can edit the permissions of who can see what. So we have the students can see it, parents can see it, staff can see it, etc. And you can change it so it's only visible to staff or only visible to parents and stuff like that. So I've just added in a list of what to bring as an example. The last 2 tabs are the risks and questions. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but this is where the risks and questions that we set up on the template level, we're now able to import them into the event itself. So for this template, I already had 3 different risks associated to the template, so they were automatically added in for me. But you might have the risk that wasn't associated to the template. So these ones are quite generic. It's just bus travel and walking. But you might have a particular risk that you want for this specific event. So to do so, all you need to do is click Add from Risk Management Bank, and you can see all of your risks that your event administration team has added in on the admin side. I can see that I actually have one called Melbourne Zoo. So I can expand this one and just add in particular ones underneath that I think will be relevant. Or if I like all of them, I can just click the biggest folder and import all of the Melbourne Zoo risks into this event and add them in. This really helps with the safety of your students as well as meeting the requirements in Victoria, at least for the Department of Education, and really helps you keep track of the safety regulations that you need for your school according to your own processes. And you can also download your school policy here. Questions works the exact same way. You can just add question from the question bank. So I already have a couple of questions that were added in from the template. So I'm just going to remove one of them, type in delete, and then add it back in. So the first question I already had was, will you pick up your child from the event venue? And that's targeted towards the attendees or the parents in this case. And I can add in another question of which Subway sandwich would your child prefer, and add it in and see that it's a drop-down list. So with our questions, we have the option to make it mandatory, which means that they have to answer it and they can't continue with their consent of payment unless it's answered, or it can be not mandatory and they can choose to answer it or not. We also have the ability to export all of our answers and things like that to our questions. So you can see, for example, for the Subway sandwich, this can really help with catering. So if you want to know how many students are going to eat meatballs versus tuna, you can get a nice export and help with catering in advance. So if I jump back to the dashboard, this event has already been, for the majority, set up by me. I'm really happy with it and I've already published it and it's been approved. So what I'm going to do now is jump into the parent side of things and show you what it looks like for a parent paying for this event. So I've just got my phone screen up now, if you can see that. So this is, I've just logged into the Compass app, and I'm logged in as a parent called Chris, and I have 2 students at the school. We can see from the get-go that we have 2 notifications just sitting there for Chris, one for course confirmations, which is a separate module in Compass that we're not talking about today, but it's just to help pay school fees through Compass. So we've got that notification. And we've also got the second notification of events and payments. So you have one event requiring your action. If I click on that notification, the parent is taken straight into events so they can find what that notification was about. And I can see that I have been asked to volunteer. So one volunteering option there, as well as one event that requires my consent and payment. So if I go into the event side of things, I can see all of the events associated to my 2 kids, and I can see the ones that I've already paid and consented for and am attending. But the one that I'm looking at is the one we just created, which is the Melbourne Zoo excursion for Year 5, and I'm going to click on that one. So as a parent, I'm able to see the description of the event, the date, time and location, and any details such as the cost involved for this one. And I can also see here I have view event resources, so that will give me access to that list of what to bring to help the parents out when they're packing for the school day, and also view paper form. So like I touched on earlier, if you have your parents transitioning into paying for events online through Compass, you still have the option to have the consent form be printed out and taken into the office manually if they still want to pay by cash, just in that transition period while they're getting used to it. So I'm just going to proceed to consent and payment. So it's just like it was before. I can add in any additional medical details. I can scroll down and say if my contact details will be different on the day. They're not. And I can also see those 2 questions that I've added in there. So the first one, will you pick up your child from the event venue? I'm going to say yes. And which Subway sandwich would your child prefer? And I can see the drop-down options there, and I'm going to say vegetable. Down below that, we have our consent. So I just need to type in my parent's name, which is Chris Allen. And then down the bottom here, we have our alternative payment methods. So here we have the option to pay for this event in full, and we also have the option to pay for this event by a payment plan. So that was what I was talking about before with the payment plans. If I click on that option, I can see the dates that the money is set to come out. So $10 on the 8th of March and $10 on the 15th of March. And the parent can see if those dates suit them and then click pay. And we can also see our payment methods. We can choose the Compass credit, which is the Compass wallet that you can set up in the portal, as well as the credit card. So parents are able to save their credit card and make it really easy to pay for events each time. So I'm just going to exit out of that. And that was everything that I had to show you in terms of the demo of this events area. So obviously it was a really quick tutorial, and there's a lot more information in Compass about the event process and how to manually take in payments and things like that, as well as our support team. But I might pan back to Jeremy for the question time section of this.
Yeah, excellent. We've got a couple of questions coming through. Usually this is the time where you can all start to take a bit of time to push through your questions, but we'll make a start now. So the first question that we got here is, will the costing tab calculate the cost per student?
The cost incurred tab?
Yes, yeah. So
no, yeah. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, go for it, yep.
Sorry. No, so this one is quite a simple area. So it's just adding in costs of generally bulk items. So if you need to get like a sandwich for each student, you can say it's $150 for 50 sandwiches or something like that and add it in, as well as the bus costs $165. It has the functionality to be by unit, so if you have the individual sandwiches, as well as include GST, but it doesn't actually calculate down below that to a breakdown any further.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's good. The next question that we had here is, are there generic risk management banks for schools to use, much like marking criteria and learning tasks?
Not at the moment. So risk management, if you wanted to message support, we would be able to like send you through like screenshots and different examples, but generally these are all set up via your own school processes and what you think is a risk to your students and your particular events. There isn't like a bank that you can add from like the Compass cloud or whatever it may be into your portal. It's generally just set up in the template level, and then you reuse your own risks ongoingly.
Yep, excellent. The
Thanks
next
for
one
jumping
here
in. Sorry, Jeremy. Just quickly, our training team will absolutely support you through that process, and I think they would be able to point you in the direction of where to start if you don't know where to start.
Very true.
Absolutely. The next question that we've got here is there a way to see what the parent sees in the app? So I'll probably jump in and help with that one. So there is the impersonate functionality within the software, which lets you log in and view the parent portal the way that a parent would see it. That is only accessible based on obviously your permissions within Compass. That will at least give you an idea of what they can see in the desktop, but you can't mirror and see what they would see in the parent application as such on the mobile device, unfortunately. So, but it's definitely going to give you an indicator of exactly what the parent's seeing. Grace is showing it right now. We're impersonating the parent that she was logged in via the mobile app. So yeah, that is a permission functionality that you need to have on your account as well. Excellent. The next one, there was a question around what is Compass Credit. I can jump in and help with that one as well. So what Compass Credit is it's essentially an online wallet. So it gives the ability for parents to essentially top up and put a balance onto their Compass wallet. That can be used for a multitude of things, but mainly centered around events and Compass Canteen or cashless canteen functionality. So parents can set an automated top up amount. Let's just say they wanted to give $5 a week to their child for canteen, and it will actually process the payment each week and put $5 into their wallet. And it can be used for events and for canteen. I did get a question a little bit later on, can you use the Compass wallet for course confirmation payments? So if they're paying school fees, no, you can't use the Compass wallet balance for course confirmation. It's just for events and for canteen as such. So might be that changes in the future though. Next question that we had here is, if I choose intelligent role, will it reflect the morning school role? Will teachers still have to mark the event role, or will it be pre-filled?
Yeah. So with intelligent roles, it just basically means that it will be marked yes unless they're marked elsewhere. So if you have an intelligent role, you would not mark your normal role. All the students will automatically be on yes, or you would mark your normal role, sorry, and select all your students to be no, and they would all stay as yes, or you would delete your role altogether and just have the event role for that day. Intelligent roles are good for some students are leaving the class and some are staying in the class, generally.
Excellent. The next question that we got here is, how can we apply CSEF payments to events through Compass? So we do have a method where we can essentially query cases to see whether a household is eligible for CSEF, but we don't have the ability to obviously pull through the balance. It's obviously quite sensitive information as such. With households that are eligible for CSEF, when you're in the events module, you do have the ability to tick CSEF payments. And for those households that obviously are eligible for that, they can use the balance that's in there. It is a very manual process, so you'll see that a family has opted to use CSEF, and it will be up to an administration staff member or business manager to obviously check the balance that they have in CSEF and apply it to that payment and calculate, be that obviously a chase of additional money if that's possible, if that's required as well. So it is an option, and yeah, Grace is showing it there. So, perfect. I've got quite a few questions coming through. So another one was, how do we add an activity to the risk bank?
Yep. So if you go to the risk tab, you can add an activity here, but best practice is to add it in on template level, because if you add it in here, it will just be applied to this event and you won't be able to grab it from the bank again. So the best place to do it is to go, if you have the events admin permission, you'll have access to the administration tab of events. And then you can go to the second tab, risk templates. And we'll just wait for that one to load. But you can see already there's a little button here that says add activity. So you'd sit down, you do most of them in bulk, and then allow your teachers to just import them when they're creating their events. And then if there's one that isn't there, ask them to notify you and you can add it into the risk bank as well.
Quite often with risk banks and matrices, the provider, so the zoo or the science centre or the excursion provider will have some templates that you can use, and then you'll only have to put them into Compass once.
Excellent, very good. We've got a couple of other questions that have come through. We'll just quickly run through it. So will the event role override the normal class role?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Excellent. I have a student who is absent for the day, but it says they are absent due to an excursion. What should I do to change this?
Yep. So if your student is saying they're on excursion but they're not, you can go to that student's profile and go to the attendance tab and see what the excursion is. But if you already know the name of the excursion, simply go to past or upcoming events and then filter for the name of the event. So I might say zoo. Once you find the event, you can jump into it, go to the attendees tab and remove that student as an attendee. So you just select student and go remove selected, and that will remove them from the event and from the role and fix up their attendance.
Excellent. All right, well, I think we're running a little bit over time here, so we'll call it at that. There probably are a couple of questions that have come through that we haven't addressed, but we will shoot you through an email with a response to your questions. I do have to say, as always, we do have a training team. Grace and myself are out there helping schools to implement this functionality as well. So if you do want, we're more than happy to come out or meet online with you for a virtual conference to help with the implementation and answer any questions that you may have around events. But we'll call it at that for today, and thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Christine. It's very helpful to have your experience